Hi everyone. Today we want to focus on repeating and terminating decimals and fractions. So if we start with the decimal of 0.9 and we want to turn this into a fraction. So right now there is one spot behind the decimal spot. So that number, whatever is sitting here behind the decimal, is going to go on top of the fraction. So 9 is going to sit in the numerator spot on the top. Then we have our division bar. Okay. Now underneath, this is a little shortcut that I teach my students when we go over this. If there is one spot behind the decimal, that tells me how many zeros go on the bottom. So there's going to be 1 0 down here. Well, we can't just have 9 over 0. So we need to put a 1 in there. So 0.9 is really 9/10. The one last thing we need to check to see if this reduces. So if you have a calculator available, you can try putting in your calculator and hitting simplify and see if this reduces down, and you'll see that 9/10 does not. So 9/10 is my final answer. Okay, let's look at the problem 0.25. So we want to turn 0.25 into a fraction as well. So once again, whatever number is behind the decimal, this is going to go on the top. This will go in the numerator location. So 25 is going to start on the top. But now this time we are 2 spots behind the decimal. So we have to have 2 zeros below. Well, same thing, we cannot have just 25 over zeros, so we put the 1 in the front. So 0.25 is really 25 over 100. Okay. Now, once again, we do need to see if this will reduce. 25 over 100 will reduce down to 1/4. So that is my final answer. If we have the situation where we have 0.123 and we want to turn this into a fraction, well, now we have 3 spots behind the decimal, but that number 123 is still going to start on the top. And as I just said, we have 3 spots behind the decimal, so now we have to use 3 zeros on the bottom and still the 1 in the front. So we end up with 123 over 1,000. We need to check to see if it reduces. This one will not reduce, so my final answer is 123 over 1,000. Okay, I want you guys to try one real quick. 0.81. Turn that into a fraction. Okay, so 81 is the number behind the decimal. So that is what's going to go on the top in the numerator location. And the denominator in the bottom, we are 2 spots behind the decimal. So we have 2 zeros and then a 1 in the front. So 81 over 100. Hopefully you check to see if this does reduce or not. This will not reduce, so my final answer is 81 over 100. Okay. Now let's look at some special situations. Let's say we have something like this. We have 4.8. So now we have this whole number in the front, and we want to turn this into a fraction. Okay, so the whole number in the front, that's fine. I don't care about it. It's a whole number. Just make him the whole number. So 4 is the whole number. It's behind the decimal that what matters. So 8 is behind the decimal. So once again, that's what's going to sit on top. That's in the numerator location. There's 1 spot behind, so there's 1 0 below. And then we have to put a 1 in the location of it. So we end up with 4 8/10. So the whole number just goes in the front. Now we still need to check to see if this will reduce. Now I don't care about the whole number. It was 4, so don't worry about it. We just want to check to see, will 8/10 reduce? So 8/10, if we try to reduce that, it reduces down to 4/5. And then 4, once again, was our whole number, so we carry that over. So my final answer is 4 4/5. Okay, now those are if the decimal terminates. Okay, notice that every one of these decimals terminates, they end. It was 0.9, 0.25, 0.123, and so on. They all terminate. Well, what happens if we have problems that look like this? Now we want to turn 0.7 repeating, and we want to turn this into a fraction. So it's a little bit different. Okay, now we still look at how many spots behind the decimal. There is one number repeating behind the decimal. So that number is still going to go on the top in the numerator spot. If it's just 1/7 repeating, that's what goes up here. But this time it does not go over zeros. If it's repeating, the shortcut is we just use nines. So if there's one spot repeating, we use 1 9 below. And we still now need to look to see if 7/9 will reduce. 7/9 does not reduce, does not get any smaller. So 0.7 repeating turns out to be 7/9 as a fraction. So let's say we had a problem look like this. We have 0.12 with the repeating bar over top of it. Okay, so as we just said before, we're looking at what's behind the decimal location. So there's two spots, which is the 12. That's what's going to go on top. But now, once again, we are not going to use zeros because we have the repeating bar. But this time, there are two digits repeating, so we're going to use 2 9s on the bottom. So we end up with 12/99. Now we do need to check to see if that reduces, gets any smaller, and that will reduce down to 4/33. And that is my final answer. Okay, let's have you guys look at one. So let's say you have 5.25 repeating, and we want to turn that into a fraction. Okay, so hopefully you look from the beginning. Once again, if there's a whole number in the front, I don't worry about that. I just know that the whole number is just going to go there. So 5 is my whole number. Behind the decimal, what we're going to look at. There's two spots behind the decimal. The 25 is going to go on the top. And that's all going to go over not zeros because we have the repeating bar. There's two spots repeating, so we're going to go with 2 9s. So we end up with 5 and 25/99. We do need to see if this will reduce. Hopefully you checked that and you saw that this does not reduce, and that is my final answer. 5 and 25/99. Okay, let's look at one last one. Let's say we have something as 0.333 with the repeating bar. Let's turn that one into a fraction. Okay, there is no whole number, so we don't need to worry about putting a whole number in the front. This is the number behind the decimal. Now, it does look like there's one spot, but I'm going to use all three numbers. So let's say 333. And not going over zeros, because we have the repeating bar, and there's 3 locations, so we're going to go 3 9s. And this will reduce down to 1/3 is my final answer. Okay, so that was looking today at repeating and terminating decimals, turning those into fractions. When you are finished with the video, there will be a Canvas assignment on this. Make sure you get that done by the due date that's posted on there. And then for the following day, there will be an assignment in Alex and in Reveal on the same concept. Okay. Please do remember, if you ever need any help on anything, on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, Miss Bobos and myself do have video chat sessions that you're welcome to join from 9 to 9:30. If you have any questions on anything, you're also welcome to email me at any time. Thank you.